fine art.
Well, let's see how they're going to progress to become a world champion. We have the 8 top players competing in a double elimination bracket. You can lose 1 match, but if you lose 2 matches, your dreams are dashed. You are out of the competition. We are doing BO3s in the duel format, meaning you may not repeat cards throughout a match. You play Fireball game 1, you don't have it game 2, you don't have it game 3, and of course, after all of this 3 days of action, the last player standing will be our Clash Royale League champion for 2024. Then that's the 7th champion. It's our 4th solo champion. There's a lot going on, and of course, they aren't just playing for that pride, they're playing for some prizes.
We have a total $500,000 prize pool, with the first place prize being $200,000. Everyone here is walking away with at least 15 grand, reaching towards more money for every win that they get.
And every single win's going to come really, really difficult stakes for them, because these players are at the top level. They are ready to go, and this bracket isn't easy for anyone. As we look at this double elimination journey, we kick things off with something amazing. 2 world champions facing off, our 2022 world champion, Mohamed Light, and the original CRL champion, the last emperor himself, Elsiop. Next up, Lucas and Greco, then Ta and Riley in what's been the hardest one to call of the weekend. After that, Pedro and Sub in the Battle of the Brazilians, and we're doing 5 matches today, which means one of these 8 players will end their championship journey today on this broadcast.
Yeah, and I can't imagine what that might feel like. I mean, there's just so much happening here. There's so much on the line. There is, I mean, you can just feel the anticipation in the room.
People are certainly ready for this one, of course. I know we're ready for this. Let's take a look at the caster predictions, who we're picking. Of course, you don't always get them right, but that's what Clash Royale is all about. All 4 of us across the board, no surprises here, picking the Pharaoh, the 2022 world champion. Lucas getting a full boat in our second matchup, but the big debate here, match number 3, split down the middle between us 4, Ta and Riley. You're joining me with Riley, Juicy J. That's going to be a tough one either way.
It really is tough. I really could have gone either way on this prediction, like I'm sure all of us would have. But I had to go for Riley. He's exuding confidence, and he's practicing a lot with Mohamed Light, actually.
Oh, they have been practicing a ton. More on that special relationship later. And of course, you can follow along all the action and get some wonderful in-game rewards yourself. If you haven't yet, go get your picks in right now. event.supercell.com/Clash Royale. Make your picks, see if you can beat us in those ones. And of course, as I said before, get some super cool rewards, including the 2024 Clash Royale League badge.
Yes, a lot of new badges, not only for spectators, but for the first time ever, we have badges for the finalists, but also the world champion.
And take a look at the world champion predictions. Wow. This is your picks at home. 73% of people, an unprecedented, insane number, have picked Mohamed Light, but at this point, you can't even call it that crazy.
Yeah, he is simply the best of
the #1 overall seed in this tournament. He's the greatest of all time, 2022 world champ, Mr. 79% overall win rate himself, Mohamed Light. Qualified for the World Finals 6 separate times, winner in 2018. He is the greatest player here. Maybe, we don't know yet. It is Elsiop.
unbelievably special matchup we have here to kick off our World Finals. The former world champion, multiple-time world finalist, consensus, top 5 of all time. And I'm not even talking about Mohamed لايت, Juicy J.
Right, I mean, this, like you said, it's the battle of the champions. We have the old guard versus the new guard. We have the best player ever versus the very first world champion in Clash Royale League. I mean, after me saying this, you might think it could really go either way, but I'm very confident in Mohamed لايت in my pick here.
A lot of people are. Of course, I picked Mohamed لايت as well as you. I think I picked Mohamed لايت against a deity at this point.
Yeah.
It's so stacked. But the disrespect we've heard towards LCOP this week has been astounding. You're talking about one of only 2 5-time world finalists alongside Morten, the only person to qualify for 6 as he qualified for CCGS in 2017, wasn't able to attend. The CRL China MVP world champion. This is a guy who is more experienced than anybody on here, including Mohamed لايت, and he is a crafty veteran. There's no accident that LCOP is here.
Yeah, and experience means a lot on this stage. We were talking about it last year where a lot of the most experienced players, you know, separate from skill level, were able to win in that first round. And I think it's because there's a lot of nerves on that stage. And we know that Mohamed لايت has dealt with that a lot in the past.
And we know one person who's not nervous at all is LCOP.
Yeah.
He was playing live on stage before we were in the West, as CRL in the East had their own league one season before you began with Team Liquid in 2018. So this is a lot of history here. Very excited for this matchup. Of course, most people are rightly picking Mohamed لايت in this one, but I want to get your opinion. What would you say are the odds here? Is this a 60-40 Mohamed, a 70-30 Mohamed? Are we going into the 80-20 range? Where do you put that?
I think I'm actually going to put it at a 90-10 for Mohamed لايت if he can get past those nerves. We know that Mohamed لايت is known for losing that first round and making a huge lower bracket run like he did in 2022 when he was the world champion.
And those of you picking along at home, we can see 83% of you going with the Pharaoh, 17% for LCOP. And we heard in this room, one of the biggest pops coming in was for LCOP, and this is such a popular player. In my opinion, top 5 all time, and the resume for him is phenomenal. The big question that we've been asking a lot is, he's been playing in primarily a different player pool the last couple of years, and does that player pool mean that his skills aren't being sharpened against the best like you have with the Western players?
Yeah, the global arena, I mean, iron sharpens iron, Rich, and Mohamed لايt's been practicing nonstop. Last year, he lost early, very unexpectedly, versus Adriel, and I think that since then, he's taken that personally towards himself. He's been grinding like no other, and when there's someone with that much talent, practicing that hard, that is a force to be reckoned with.
And one of those big changes for Mohamed لايt, speaking with him throughout this week, has been focused on improving with deck picking. Last year, in that elimination match, he had kind of a deck picking mishap live on stage. So working closely with his coach, Julesy, back with his original coach from his 2021 runner-up run against Mugi, they've been focusing on how you do deck construction. And that's a thing that's interesting to talk about with Mohamed لايt. His gameplay has always been so great, but thinking about how he continues to want to improve, and the fact that he said deck construction, the way it should be composed, is so fascinating.
Yeah, there's a lot to go into it. Like we talked about, it is duels formatting. It's not your normal in-game duels like you play in Clan Wars, but instead, it's no card can be repeated, but you can change your decks in between games. There's a 2-minute break for that to be happening, and it's very, very, very complicated.
So as you've been mentioning, Juicy, a lot of people, including Mohamed and his coach, predicting that LCOP will go with I believe it was the P.E.K.K.A. Goblin Giant Rage deck, a really easy-to-use deck here in game number 1. I'd be surprised to see him be that predictable.
And looks like he's not going to. There was a lot of people I talked to that thought it might actually even just be P.E.K.K.A. the back first play. But that's not what we're seeing here, especially with the Evo Ice Spirit.
Shades of Hog so far from Mohamed لايt. And Royal Giant, something that LCOP did run a lot during his qualifying stages in the CRCC to make this World Championship. Did not typically run it with the Ice Wiz, ran a different construction, but curious to see what he has in store for us here.
Monk ability going to drop down to deflect that Archer Queen ability. The Fisherman as well trying to lock onto a cannon. Roll delivery dropping down. Interesting matchup so far. It's the standard Pigs Earthquake versus a Roll Giant Monk. That Monk is going to be very useful versus the Queen the entire match.
First minute away, and so far just a little bit of chip in both directions. You can see, look at the expressions on their faces, right? You see some deep breaths here. Even for two of the most experienced former world champions, you cannot replicate what it feels like when it's finally happening.
Pigs at the bridge, does he have the fireball? He does. Wow, this is a great situation for LCOP. A lot of the time you might see a lightning or maybe even an earthquake with Royal Giant, but that fireball is going to make it so محمد Light actually has to split his pigs and split his damage across the towers. Something
he's very good at traditionally, very good at early on, getting dual lane pressure and damage. We'll see if he gets that done here today. The Evo RG drops in the back as we go towards our double elixir time.
I talked to محمد Light and Riley and others, and they said LCOP is a great player, but maybe his deck picking isn't up to par. But after seeing this, maybe he was, I don't know. I don't think that's true because this is a great matchup for LCOP.
And pigs in, LCOP back to 4, Fireball able to clear the log for the Evo Skeletons, and the RG doesn't get the damage LCOP wants, gets a little bit in, but a fairly solid job by Mo to mitigate that damage despite the great play of LCOP.
Royal Giant in the back yet again, and we know there's going to be another monk in front of that to stop the Archer Queen. And it's really only going to get worse. Later in the match, we're going to see 2 Royal Giants on the board on each side, which is very difficult to deal with, especially when you don't have a solid tank in your deck.
EQ in early, and محمد Light maybe trying to figure out what's going to be the mathematics to get his damage in, and now we go aggressive. RG at the bridge, left-hand lane, switching sides. This one, though, getting handled by the cannon of the Archer Queen. Guard does get a couple of stabs.
Monk, same lane as the Queen yet again, and here comes the split bigs I was talking about. You have to choose which side to fireball. Fireball on the right, guards on the left. Will محمد Light get a second Archer Queen ability? Yes, he has it available, but he's not going to use it. LCOP with the monk ability to prevent.
Lead now for Mohammed in sudden death overtime, 24-62, top right-hand side of your screen, 23-88 on the bottom. Evo, Ice Spirit plus Cannon to hold against the Royal Giant.
Bigs right away. I really like this pressure while defending, forcing the fireball on defense, using the log as well. LCOP knows that this game is very close, and wow, and the Ice Spirit doesn't jump.
Was that an overspend by LCOP with the fireball and the log there? I know he wanted to mitigate all the damage, but you know, instead of a positive trade, now he had a negative one.
Yeah, and the Queen's still alive. He has to log, and here comes the pigs. And watch out for those Evo Skeletons. He has to fireball, but look at the damage to the right-hand side.
And you saw he had to wait to make sure that the Evo Skeletons and the 2 pigs were together. Pressure from محمد Light now giving him the lead with 1:08 left. Keep in mind that while LCOP does have fireball and log, there's almost no way they're going into a spell cycle situation with his defensive needs.
And here comes the pigs right away with the pre-log plus pre-quake on the guards, allowing for so much damage to come through with these piggies. LCOP needs to bounce back with a double Royal Giant push if he's going to make this comeback.
Does he double up on that left-hand side, or does he go left-right here? We see the guards and the fishermen on the right-hand side. Evo Skellies, Ice Wiz plus log to clear. Evo RG still fairly healthy. Second Royal Giant right behind it. He needs to break through here. Can he do it?
The monk is deflecting the Queen and the cannon. The Royal Giant is walking through. Log dropping down. Ice Spirit does get taken out. Evo Ice Spirit jumps. No, Evo Ice Spirit jumps, and that Royal Giant is locked down.
That cannon, the cycle of محمد Light. Picture perfect. Can he hold on? 11 more seconds. This is looking good for محمد Light. Cannon to hold. 6 seconds left. Fireball trying to clear. Royal Giant stuck by the cannon, and محمد Light wins game number 1.
And that is the defense that we know محمد Light for. The Archer Queen, the cannon cycle, the perfect Ice Spirit placement. I mean, everything was perfect to a T there. محمد Light showing why he is the best player in the world.
And just what an interesting situation. We saw the fireball come out, and it really began to feel like, oh, LCOP might have the answers here. But one of the things we talk about being Mohammed's greatest strength is the ability to process the matchup and figure out what are the ways I'm going to win this in real time. And we saw that happen perfectly right now.
Yeah, I also love how he was always going off lane, and especially right here, I have to point out this prediction. I mean, this is really what won محمد Light the game. He goes for the pre-log and the pre-earthquake, take out the guards, And with the Queen in the opposite lane, it's forcing out opposite lane pressure, but also allowing 3-card cycle for multiple cannons and multiple roll deliveries on defense.
Now, Elsiop on his qualifying run did face someone running the Pigs Archer Queen deck in game number 1, but it was with the Tesla rather than the cannon. In this case, though, he had gone from that. He replied by going with Hog, Monk, Fireball, Log, and so many pieces are gone now. So the big question is, what does Elsiop do in game number 2 for these deck progressions?
It's a good question. I mean, decks, they play a huge factor in these games, but I mean, do we see the bridge spam? I did look at Elsiop's decks before the tournament. He's known for bridge spam. He also likes Mortar Miner. And of course, he's extremely good at a deck like محمد Light just played, Pigs and Hog Earthquake.
He did play a lot of Lava along his route, both Lava Loon and Lava Miner. Now, this was back in July, very different meta, but delivery out here, maybe some possibility to see him go to the skies, especially considering that it's not really a popular deck, maybe a bit of a swerve here in those deck picks.
Yeah, now that you say that, if you would have brought Lava in this first game, it would have been extremely successful, with Archer Queen being the only air defense. But now with Cannon out for Mo, I'm wondering if Tesla and Inferno Tower will fill that building slot, really blocking that Lava out.
This is the hard part. This is where the analysts and coaches make their money. But of our 8 players here, only 7 of them are here with a coach.
Yes.
Elsiop being the lone player, completely picking and planning. And players getting locked in here for their number 2 matchup. The loser here will face the loser of our next match between Lucas and Grieco, and Drill for Elsiop.
And a P.E.K.K.A from Mo. This is the deck that Mo was expecting Elsiop to play. Elsiop really going completely different. And speaking of completely different, we see the Cannoneer Tower. Now that is really not a tower that I expected to see very often during this tournament, just because it recently got nerfed. But it seems to be doing very well versus this P.E.K.K.A.
And it's Drill, Wall Breakers, the 2 Evos he's choosing as well. Doesn't get the connection courtesy of the Rage. A little funny here to see Mo and Jules talking about this deck all week. This is the deck they expect him to go game number 1, and then see them bring it out alongside our newest champion.
Here comes yet another Drill. Next Drill will be Evo. I love the placement, pulling everything backwards, allowing the Ghost to splash and connect on tower. Good Fisherman to prevent that second hit, though.
First blood, first significant blood drawn by محمد Light, but lead back now. Whoa, Royal Giant in here. This is a whole lot of fun.
The Royal Giant Gobsign ability is unnecessary. The Dark Goblin gets aired out. This Royal Giant extremely healthy on top of this tower. This tower is taking a beating.
The stun certainly mitigating some of that, but down to 1602. And now we'll see, can he make some headway in the opposite direction? 1 Wall Breaker pulled, 1 does connect. Bandit dashes in, guards to hold, but this is a lot of damage going the opposite way.
Wow. I mean, both players very light in the defense, very aggressive on the offense, and here comes the offense yet again, the Evo Goblin Drill. What does Mo have to deal with this? The Rage is not what you're looking for.
Snowball in to slow the tower and get a little bit extra damage on there. Now Evo Wall Breakers with the action on the back. Wow. And no ability here, down to 220. Full connection, and محمد Light's in trouble in game 2.
And this is a deck Elsiop is known for, whether it be Cannon Card Bridge Spam with the Ram Rider or a Goblin Drill Bridge Spam. He knows how to keep that elixir and apply that pressure. The only question is, can Mo break through with this Evo P.E.K.K.A?
So far, so good holding. Bandit dashes at a great time, takes both the P.E.K.K.A and helps cover against the Doctor. Here we go, Drill in, 195 remaining, Snowball down, 25 HP, 21, gets the stab. Elsiop has the tower down. Can he defend for 19 seconds?
Here comes the Goblin Stein and the Fisherman and the guards. The cannon does not pull. Evil Roll Giant is in cycle. Here comes the Goblin Stein ability. Roll Giant is distracted though by the cannon and the Goblin Drill. I think he's got this defense.
Oh my word. This is what you want. Champion versus champion. Game number 3, here we come.
Oh my gosh. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I was talking about in the intro. This is art. I love watching this. This is perfect Clash Royale gameplay.
And certainly one thing we've seen here is that LCOP is not blinking.
Yeah.
He is taking Mo deep. He's seen it done before. KK in 2022 beat Muhammad Light in the first round. Of course, Mo had the last laugh as our champion in that year, but still, he knows, like everybody, that Mo can be beat.
Yeah, if Mo is going to lose, it's most likely going to be in that first round. The question is, can LCOP make it happen again? He's used a big skill set here with his bridge spam skill set. I said it twice, but the Bandit, the Ghost, the Drill, the Goblinstein, just perfect gameplay, but he can't use those cards again in this third game.
And that's the dual mode restrictions, of course. He has played some other bridge spam variants, but each one of them either has the Bandit or the Ghost in it. The question is, does he go that direction? Does he now turn to Lava, as there are some openings there potentially? And honestly, this is gonna come down to the wire, but keep in mind, we just saw Rage out. We've of course seen the delivery out, more and more opening for the deck that got LCOP to World Finals.
Yeah, and then the other question is, does he use the P.E.K.K.A? I mean, I think Mo is going to have stuff for P.E.K.K.A. I don't think that's the right play. But on the other hand, if Mo's always worried about an opposing P.E.K.K.A, I mean, that's always making his deck a little bit weaker against other things. There's so much dynamics that goes into this.
Oh, and we saw the Cannoneer here. You were asking that question, what's it doing here? But then you're up against P.E.K.K.A Royal Giant. You're getting those big hits on those beefy, tanky units. So some great work here from LCOP. We were worried about deck picking. Deck picking goes very well in game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing great with it so far. Once again, I mean, it's just what is going to happen this game 3. This game 3 is for all the marbles. I mean, you might have to think, I mean, does nerves just start playing a factor here? And like we've said time and time again, LCOP, I don't think he has those anymore. He's just grown out of them. He has so much live experience.
Spells out for Mohammed include Delivery, Earthquake, Log, Rage, and Arrows. On LCOP's side, Fireball, Log, Snowball. So a lot of the spells still remaining for both of these players. Of course, LCOP with a bit more in terms of wide coverage. And then, of course, Royal Giant played from both players. Champions, Goblinstein played by both. Archer Queen out for Muhammad Light. Monk out for LCOP.
Yeah, no Goblinstein. I mean, I gotta think it might end up being like a Mortar or Minor Control type of deck from Mo here. And then maybe LCOP bringing those pigs or that Hog EQ, as we know that he likes to do.
Well, we've seen that happen in game number 1, and now you start to go deep into it. The big question here has the deck construction work that Mohammed's been putting in with Julesy come to fruition? We'll find out right now. The swing vote, game number 3. Let's go. And the room is very tense here. It's been a soft murmur as everyone's sitting doing what we're doing, trying to figure out what are they going to do next.
Yeah, let's find out right now as both players are reaching 10 elixir. We say a cage right away from Mo, Goblin Gang from LCOP, maybe the Mortar deck from LCOP. And Mo, I know he likes to play Evo Cage even with Cycle decks, so it's not guaranteed to be down here.
LCOP did play some bait, of course, now that we see the Lightning Dragon. Probably not the Electro Dragon, but for a moment, maybe. And Loon.
Wow. So he is going to the skies. And Mo, you are correct. We do see bait. Cage on the board here. Cage is not really the building you want to have versus this balloon. You'd much rather have a Tesla.
Shouldn't get a drop, but will get death damage as the Brawler goes and gives its punch the opposite direction. Muhammad Light with damage in both lanes. LCOP chipping that right-hand tower.
And this, once again, is just so fascinating. LCOP, just great deck picks. He has the Bar Barrel for the Goblin Barrel. He has the arrows for the Princess. He even has the Lava Hound to tank for that balloon. What kind of air defense does Mo have for this last card? I mean, if he has a rocket, that could help, but this is looking very grim for our 2022 champion.
Little Prince and Princess both getting ready to go to work, although the Princess walking away from the Lava Hound. Cage pulls to the middle, and she does retarget towards the Evo Electro Dragon. Bard Barrel picked up by the Fire Spirit plus the Knight. Great protection by Muhammad Light.
Lava Pups are trying to take out this little prince. They are successful, but the princess will help out. And here comes the Goblin Barrel on the counter push. The Knight is tanking. LCOP not really playing much. These goblins are doing so much damage.
Well, maybe some cycle issues there for LCOP. You've seen him shaking his head a lot in this matchup. And I think that maybe he got his cycle to a position where he was not happy with his ability to defend.
Yeah, he was low in elixir as well, but at least he's up about 1 elixir here. He's able to get that lava. Moonlight deciding to use the princess aggressively to apply pressure opposite lane this time.
And you see him going with the gang to clear the princess rather than a spell, making sure he's not going to get caught flat-footed by the incoming imminent Evo barrel.
No Evo Electro Dragon cycle. That makes defense a lot easier. And here comes the Evo barrel, like you said. Arrows dropping the wrong one. Real Goblins to the right doing massive damage, but now he has to defend.
Lava Hound in, Balloon in, Pups all around. Mohammed Light's defense is absolutely picture perfect.
Electro Dragon's a couple shots, but he needs a lot more oomph in his push than that, and yet another Goblin Barrel.
Goes to the inside, easily read by LCOP. And this has just been so well controlled. You were worried about the air defense, but Little Prince, Princess, Goblin Gang, and the MVP so far has been the Snowball.
Arrows dropping down the gang. Here comes the pre-snowball from Mohammed Light, forcing out the Barbarian Barrel, but now he can out-cycle with his Princess, bait out those arrows, and get another Goblin Barrel down right away.
What does LCOP have in store to try to battle back into this one? The margins are so thin. Has to cover the left-hand side. Right-hand side is a problem. The Knight touches, down to 59 HP. Princess on the left-hand side, nothing on the right-hand side. GG, well played. Mohammed Light wins the first match of World Finals.
And he finished it with style. The prediction Fire Spear at the end on the Goblin Gang, allowing the Princess to get the tower down. We talked about in the first game how Mohammed Light loves that dual lane pressure and that dual lane damage. He did it perfect.
He did it so beautifully the entire...
Way to start our World Finals, everybody. Okay, first question, Mo, you're past round one, you're past the hole. Mo does the lower bracket run. How does it feel to be safe for day one?
Oh, I'm very happy that I don't have to play anymore today. I can just take a rest and watch the other players.
Okay, I have to ask about that game number one. It looked, at least to a lot of us, like an impossible matchup. He had the Monk, he had the Fireball. What was your thought process when you started seeing these cards come out to kind of work through that matchup and I think impress everyone here in the room?
I think the main advantage I had was because I was playing pigs a lot on ladder and I faced this type of RG deck many times. So I knew like what I need to do to have a chance at winning.
Let's hear it one more time for our 2022 World Champion, Mohammed Light.